And first of all, it's very frustrating setting up a committee, because in the private sector, you set up a committee and you work the next day. It's that simple. And in county government, it took literally 6 weeks for us. You laugh. It was nothing. So I know there was a lot of rumors out there about how we were just dragging our feet. We weren't. We were really working hard trying to move this forward. And it's just the way that you have to do public notices. You have to go before the meetings to get the board to approve it. The board made changes. County council made changes. So, well, it seems like we were dragging our feet. We weren't. Our feet were just going like crazy under the water, under the surface. So our main goals were two. Main goal was to have a way for us, the county, to be able to allow the assets of the library to be used by the cities in whatever fashion we could come up with. And Harold worked really hard and diligently and came up with the reading room model, okay? So all of the library satellite operations, they close on April 1st to the public. So Harold worked hard on that. We worked hard on an intergovernmental agreement or an IGA to allow those cities who wanted to do that. I've tried to go to every city, their library groups, and the city councils to tell them, you know, what they can and can't do. The IGAs are out there. If they want to change them or make any changes, all they have to do is request that. So we had people who came before us, and I think Pat was one of those who came before and said, hey, we want to use your monitors. And so we took it to a work session, and the board said, no problem, we'll allow the monitors. And actually, Kevin Potter, who's our IT specialist, he's going to be here, and he's going to explain all of the reasons why we have to do what we have to do. So today is a lot of information to dispel a lot of rumors that are going on out there. So the number 2 goal is to find long-term solutions to keep the library intact as a whole, whether that be, it could have a lot of different models, and that's why we're all sitting around the table. So I'm not going to speculate what that will be. That's what this group is supposed to do. But remember, whatever we decide as a group, this will go before the Board of Commissioners, and then they will approve that. So if you all, decide 100% that we want to do X, Y, Z, the Board of Commissioners will ultimately have to sign off on that. Just so we're very, very clear on that. Yeah, go ahead. Pop up with any questions.
Well, it's just we could agree, but what you really meant was that if the cities that we represent, or the organizations we represent, support it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Good point.
Gary? What's an IGA?
Intergovernmental Agreement. Sorry, I said that. But,
That's all right.
I hate acronyms, but
No,
I
it's
use
good.
them.
I
have
learned.
2 complete whole sheets of acronyms just for our board.
That's great.
So there was also talk about having a facilitator down the road at doing this. And so I met with a couple of facilitators actually and talked about them and asked them actually to volunteer. One of them is from UCC, and they just didn't have the time to do it. So that's something this group can talk about, to have a facilitator, and we will look at that in the future. So I kind of gave you a little bit of a history on what happened, once the library district went down. So once that went down in the commissioner's office, what we did is we created an internal library closures department meeting. We did it weekly because we've never closed a library before, but we've closed and moved a health department on. So a lot of the department heads that were involved in that before, they were all at the table. There was about 10 of us. We met weekly. We talked about all of the concerns, all the challenges, how to do it, what we could and couldn't do. And out of those meetings came the fact that we couldn't just give the computers to the cities. And it was real frustrating because it was like, they're already set up. Why can't they just plug it into their local city network and use them? Kevin will be here to explain, but those are the things that came out of the closure group, department head group. And we met, like I said, every week for almost 2 months. So at that same time, I reached out and I met with as many different groups and organizations that I could who might have an interest in something with the library. So it could be they were interested in taking the library over, they were interested in taking over part of their city, they were interested in any part, any component of that. So I met with ESD, Michael Lasser, and had a very, very good meeting with him. Michael had said that ESD is very interested and gave us a bunch of ideas from their vantage point. And one of the things that they had said is that not only are they hubbed in Roseburg, but they also want to set up a second hub in South County, and they're actually talking with the city of Myrtle Creek to do that. And so, go ahead, Gail.
What is the ESD?
Education Service District. Just jump in anytime I say something like that. So ESD serves all the schools in Douglas County. And so he had a real interesting viewpoint from the ESD part of it, which was basically to run part of their ESD out of this facility, keep the library here open, do the same thing in Myrtle Creek, but try to find funding for the satellite operations for people to work, so it's not an all-volunteer thing like what we're talking about. So, and I'm going to bring this up again. What I want to do is, once I go through this, is bring those people in and have them give kind of a presentation to the group at our later meetings. I met with Dr. Thatcher at UCC. I thought it was a really great fit because this would give UCC an opportunity to outreach to all the communities as well. I had heard that they were interested in closing their facility at the end of Diamond Lake, so this could have made a real good partnership with us here. And she thought long and hard about it. She brought her staff in, they looked really, really closely at doing that, and they came back with me just last week and said, we simply don't have the funding to do it. It's really a great idea, but we don't have the funding. So that doesn't mean they're out. That just means that's an obstacle. That's a challenge for us.
And who was that you spoke with?
UCC, Dr. Thatcher. And Carol out there, who's a librarian out there too. And their model is a little different than our model, our library model. So even though they might not do something with us, they might be able to partner and help us look at our model and may change it, come up with some ideas or some different solutions for us. So a couple of school districts called me, which was real interesting. Sutherland was the most